And good morning. Happy Saturday, September 18th. It is now 8 a.m. September 18th, 2021. If the camera drops off, sorry about that. Um, got just a small list of things. Good morning, Ressie in the land down under. Yeah, 11 p.m. Morning, JH. Bob Carpenter is here with us. Morning, Chad Webb. If you're here, make sure you're hitting that thumbs up button. And So yeah, my 28-day subscriber count is down significantly because I haven't been getting the amount of videos out that I normally do. So I have to fix that. So I plan on filming quite a few videos tomorrow. Morning, Dale. Dale, I actually have something on the list that we're going to talk about this morning that uh, involves a project we're working on. Good morning, Michael. Good morning, Sean. Um, so if you wonder why my beard's all messed up this morning, it is Unky Joe. No, not Unky Joe's not the reason my beard's messed up, but I've been following the tweets from VoIP.ms. If you are not aware, and we only have, I think, 2 customers using VoIP.ms, and it's because we couldn't talk them out of it. Good morning, Joe with cajoling. Good morning, Barry. Prav, good morning. If you have customers on VoIP.ms, you know that there's a huge distributed denial of service attack, and VoIP.ms is on the struggle bus, and they are doing everything that they can to try to remediate that. My one customer down in Texas that is on VoIP.ms, I did not recommend it to him, but our recommended provider, you can't, I don't think you can use just a Gmail. So if you sign up with a Gmail, then you have to get verified, which I think is a pretty good practice, just in my opinion. So VoIP.ms is on the struggle bus, and the one other customer that we have, they were with them already. So we typically don't recommend VoIP.ms. If you look at the thumbnail for the video, you know we recommend Telnex. If you're interested in checking out Telnex, there is an affiliate link down in the description, and Telnex has just been nothing but awesome for us. Back over to the comments. Good morning, admin engineer. TN Bighorn in the house. Cody with Mac Telecom Networks. Good morning. Jeremy's in the house. If we make sure we put a link to Jeremy's channel as well. Oh, yep, there it is. Joe's channel. Let's see. Good morning, Alex, David, everybody, Jim, everybody. Ooh, Jim Jones from Kansas. So there is a rub, a barbecue rub that let me pull up my web browser. So apparently there is like this place in Kansas City in Kansas, I'm assuming is nothing but the wonderful land of barbecue. And this is called Squeal Like a Pig, the perfect blend. And I've got it in my cart right now. So I'm going to try it out. If anybody has tried Squeal Like a Pig, the perfect blend, let me know. All right. Good morning, Justin. Man, I love it that you are all piling in here this morning. Good morning, Compute Guru. Good morning, David. Techno Matters, Smarter Money. Somebody asked, was this DDoS preventable? Well, I don't know the technical details of the DDoS. I will tell you that sometimes you can work with your upstream providers. So depending on what the actual DDoS is, sometimes your upstream providers can help. You can put things in place. I am not 100% sure what. So I'm seeing some things about DNS and IP addresses, and so I don't know. I don't know if customers were using IPs to connect instead. I don't know all the details, right? So I do know that some people are using it as a lever to get people off of VoIP.ms onto their service. We are not going to pull that. We're not going to pull that marketing lever. I will tell you that Telnex uses a distributed system across the three big players. So that's Azure, AWS, and Google. So it would take a really massive one to knock them out as well. Um, so back over to the comments here, real quick. Good morning, Ralph. T and Bighorn says, I don't know if you heard the news yet, but Oracle just signed a deal with the city of Nashville to bring their 22-acre plant here to the shores of the Cumberland River. Wow. So is it a T and Bighorn? Is that a data center that Oracle is putting down there, or because Oracle is out of the hardware game, right? It's all software licensing now. Missed a question. How many? David Anderson says, how many cameras can surveillance station with Synology handle? Well, it depends. It is very scalable. So if Tim was here, Tim would tell you that he's got a single unit that's going to have 100 cameras on it. But depending on how you are structured, you can have one main unit, and then you can have your recording units out in the field. I mean, you can have unlimited cameras if you scale it properly. But on a single box, if you actually go to Synology's website and you go down to the NVR selector, actually, if you select any model Synology from their site, and then you go to, I think it's like the software, there's a tab like a system specs, it will tell you how many cameras it can handle. And the really good thing about surveillance station is based on the system that it's on and the system specs, surveillance station runs an internal, I don't know if it's a hard limit that's hard coded. I don't know if it's a mathematical whatever, but surveillance station on your devices, it will cap the number of cameras, and it does that purposefully. So, Jim, I would love to come to Kansas. So let's talk about training real quick. I know I was supposed to get the email out last week. Things here with masks and the thing, everything's kind of up in the air. So what I've decided is I'm going to do the Ubiquity training in October, the 1 day Ubiquity training. It'll be over Zoom. And then the Grand Stream certified, I have to move it to November. There's just too many unknowns at this point. So you will get an email this weekend, and we're going to lock that in. And I think what I'm going to do is for the Grand Stream training, I won't make payment required up front. We'll get you on there, get your hotel booked so you can get your airline and everything ready. And then I will just require payment for us like the week before. That way we're sure that things aren't shut down, that there's not capacity, blah, blah, blah. So, but with it being heading into an election year, I don't know that that's going to happen. But we also didn't think that the mask mandate would come back either. Our governor said there's not going to be any restrictions. 2 hours later, I'm running for governor again. Next day, mask mandate. So that's how weird and quick things are moving around here. All right, back over to the comments. Bob wants to know, are the guys who are DDoSing using the the recent MikroTik exploit? If so, is it unstoppable? I don't know. Oh, TN Bighorn says it's a campus. That's interesting. I think that you're going to see a lot of companies moving to states with um, different tax requirements, right? And different laws than where they're at now. I think you're definitely going to see that. We saw Tesla head to Texas. Oracle, Oracle. I just made that up. Oracle is moving to Tennessee. That's definitely interesting. JH says, for DDoS, I always like to use DNS entries and just change IPs. Yeah. JH says, I got a fairly large fiber project that I need to terminate 300 connections in MC lag, but I can't find many choices in the chassis to drop them. The higher end stuff is still chassis. You might look at Juniper. I know you can get some pretty big gear. It's really out of my price range. I've seen it. I know it exists. I've never touched a lot of that carrier grade stuff. Good morning, Tom from North Carolina. Yeah. So I'm working on a job right now for a company that works very closely with Toyota. That's all I can really tell you. And They are using HP, not Aruba, but actual HP switches to come off of a virtual environment. And we're trying to make it mesh with a Unify network. I spent an hour the other night talking to the guy. Um, we came up with a plan. I haven't heard back yet, but the plan is that the plan doesn't work. We're switching over to the Cisco Catalyst 1000 series. So, all right. Prav says Telnex is pretty good. We're also now using PAX 8, which makes it easy to manage subscriptions. Okay. So, I've not tried 8 by 8, but I will tell you. So, a lot of people that sign up for Telnex, so Telnex takes care of all of your taxes and everything for you. Uh, Telnex is extremely easy to work with. Their support is fantastic. Telnex, a lot of people that I know that end up they resell Telnex, right? And we do not resell because I don't want to mess with that. I would rather pass the savings off to the customer directly, and we are more of a value at the troubleshooting, setup, at that level. I don't want to be the MSP on the dial tone side. I don't want to mess with that because then it just adds another layer of cost for the customer, and for me, it's not worth it right now. Whoo, 65-acre campus. That is going to be huge. Good morning, RL Woodleaf. Good morning, TVJ. Okay, what else? Uh, Sad news this week. Comedian, one of the best comedians. I usually don't talk about celebrities and things like that, but I'm a huge comedy fan, and unfortunately, we lost Norm Macdonald this week, so that's very sad. Um, Moving along from that, the GoPro Hero 10. Now, I have been watching a lot of reviews. I've been looking at the good and the bad. I'm waiting for DJI. So my favorite action cam is this DJI Osmo Action. I love this thing. I know you're not supposed to love things, but I'll tell you. I'll just tell you this is my favorite action camera, and I'm waiting for them to come out with an Osmo Action 2, like they came out with the Pocket 2, because I have the Pocket 1, and I really, really like that camera. But what I don't like is having to have a bunch of dongles hanging off. Like the one thing that I could say to like make this camera better is an audio input jack on there, right? Or if I had a manufacturer that I knew made an external geez Louise, uh, microphone that would go in the shoe there, that was USB-C, I could deal with that, right? But what I don't want to have is a bunch of dongles hanging off of a camera when I'm in the field or I'm in the back room, messing with the rack. I just don't want to have to deal with a bunch of extra stuff. And even with the new GoPro, but the new GoPro, the software specs look pretty dang good. So I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna wait a few weeks, see if DJI announces a new Osmo Action 2. I've thought about going with there's another brand of action cam, but I'm starting to work on plans to do a lot more close up work in the rack. So yeah, Joe, I am getting old, man. Look at all the gray and the beard. That's the first thing people point out. Like my kids now, they're like, my wife still gets carded, right? When she goes to the liquor store. I don't. They just like get out of my way and they're like, "Oh man, this guy, he looks rough. Like he needs he needs that rum." But so if you've got the GoPro 10, let me know in the comments, if you've been watching that. If you've got the 9 and you're looking at going to the if you got the 9 and you're looking at going to the 10, let me know what you think. JH says, have you tried Extreme? I actually have a brand new Extreme switch sitting in the box up there. I've got one in the rack. Extreme makes extremely good switches. RL Wood Leaf asks Willie, there are a few videos out there about setting up Untangle. However, I've never seen a really good video for home use. Is this something that you would be willing to do? Yeah, probably. Yeah. Untangle, I used to use it for years until became a pay for play in the commercial environment. Um, yeah, I could probably go back around that. I can't promise you when that's going to happen. Oh, something interesting. So I don't watch Network Chuck, but somebody pinged me the other day, and so you'll find this kind of interesting. So I have the Willie House specials over at Protectly. I make no money off those unless you buy them and hire me, right? Previously Protectly had no affiliate links, so I couldn't. It was very difficult. Like they didn't really have that program at the time. Well, they get Network Chuck on board, and I get it. He's got 1.5 million subscribers. He's a huge content creator, makes entertaining videos. Um, and now he's got affiliate links. And so I emailed the CEO, which I thought I had a pretty good relationship with, and he's ghosted me and not wrote back about how I can get affiliate links. So I thought you'd find that interesting. I find that very interesting. So we'll see. I've got videos, or I've got Protectly hardware here to do videos on, and I think I'm going to pump the brakes on that just for a minute until I can get some clarification on that. So, I mean, maybe I'll start pimping Netgate hardware, or other third party boxes running OpenSense. I don't know. Um, we'll see. So yeah, Unky Joe is has a looks like he's got a thing for Network Chuck there. Let's see. Jim Jones says I use the home license for Untangle. It's only $50 a year. Pretty packed for the price. Yeah. So here, I'll do my Network Chuck impersonation. You have to learn network testing now. I'm just that's all I got. I'm not very good at that, but um I'm sure somebody will send that to him. But let's see. But let's talk about network testing, because I'm working with um Dale, who is in the chat, or was in the chat. And we've been looking at a way to tie all of his different manufacturers together. He's got a very distributed architecture. And so what I came up with was we are going to run Cacti. And if you've never run Cacti is a beautiful RD mapping tool. But see, we use it for when somebody says, "Oh, my 10 gig network is too slow. We don't have enough throughput. We're maxing it. We need to go to 40 gig or 25 gig." Or even if somebody's like, I'm on 1 gig and I needed to go to 10 gig. What we'll do is we'll take an appliance and we'll throw Cacti on it. We'll throw SNMP on the devices, and we will actually verify that by pulling information from the devices to see how much um, bandwidth they're really using. Now, I will tell you that a majority of the time they are not actually saturating. There are companies that are not saturating 1 gig links, right? So um, sometimes it's a feeling that they want it. Sometimes their network's messed up and they can't saturate the 1 gig, right? So then that's a whole other thing, right? So Joe says maybe you should have driven over the Protectly with a Mack truck. Well, I mean, here it is, and it still works. So, I mean, you can't say. But here's the thing. So every time I post something about Protectly, people point to the Alibaba um, site or the AliExpress site where you can buy you can buy this hardware that looks exactly like this with the same spec without the Protectly sticker on the bottom. I don't know. Maybe I'll look at providing this through a different resource, or maybe I don't know. I'm not. I just would like some clarification on that. Like I said, I get it from a business standpoint. I get it. You got a guy that's got 70 70,000, almost 71,000 very loyal subscribers that come here to watch how to set things up properly. Sometimes I'm not very entertaining. And then you have somebody whose entire business is content creation and being a hype man and creates very entertaining videos. So I totally get it from a business perspective. I would just like an answer. That's all I'm saying. Oh, something else. Something else that's interesting. Um, Let me find the screenshot. So I'm in a couple Ubiquity Facebook uh groups, and some of you in the comments are going to know are going to know I shared this screenshot with you. Let me pull it up. I'm not very good with technology. Uh Let me pull this up. This is, give me just a second here. I'm gonna clear. Oh, hey Cody. Thanks. Yeah, Cody just dropped a video right now. Or at least that's when I was notified. And we'll talk about that too, Cody. So this guy has like 700 subscribers on YouTube. So he's building his presence. And what his video is actually, somehow he got his hands on a unified doorbell that doesn't even have an FCC ID. And so nobody knows how he got it. He's going to probably, unless Ubiquity is now like seeding YouTubers this gear to build some hype, he's probably not going to have a good day when legal contacts him. But you got to figure, I said something to Riley Chase about it. And he said, I can't see him, just from a business side. We can't see him doing this with somebody that's got like 700 subscribers. Like you would think if they were going to leak it, they would do it with Network Chuck. They would do it with Chris. They would do it with, um, who's the other, Linus. You would think that they would do it with Linus, and I'm like, well, I don't know. I don't know what their direction looks like. Right. So it was very interesting, but I think that guy's going to have a bad day. So, and Dale has a very interesting idea. We can sell Willie Howe bourbon coffee. You know what? I should. So we've got a local roaster that's opening up like a mile and a half from my house. I should partner with them and let them sell it, and then just take like, do like a 10% like licensing deal, and y'all can order Willie Howe bourbon coffee from them. So let's see. TVJ says, how much bandwidth would you expect to lose over a VPN connection? I have one employee who is losing almost 80% of her speed when connected to a VPN. And that is it's a very good question. And there's a lot of factors that are built in there. What kind of VPN is it? What kind of machine, what kind of network is this person behind? Now, if the VPN is configured, where we see the biggest loss in speed on VPNs is when we set up OpenVPN and they want all of the traffic, instead of doing like a split setup where your internet traffic stays local and then only stuff destined for the VPN goes through the VPN. Some places, because they have filtering and they have other policies in place, want us to put all of the end user's information or data back through the VPN, right? Could be a company laptop, blah, blah, blah. Don't know. That's where we see the biggest speed loss, is when people start piping everything back through the VPN. And we have seen 80% losses on that, TVJ. How's the weather up there? I don't know if you're talking to me, but the weather is going to be beautiful today. All right, let's see here. Back to the comments. Not sure. I am lost on. Unky Joe says, I ordered my knockoff on Amazon for around $200 and I ran it over with the Honda the other day just for giggles. It still works. If you're going to run over your Protectly or your Protectly like device, take the rubber feet off the bottom first. If not, you create a concentration of you've got 4 points. I'm not a physicist, right? Uh, but it's not spread out, right? You know how you can walk on snow with snowshoes because it spreads your weight out, equal distribution. Well, if you leave those four little feet on the bottom of that device, you create 4 points that are holding the entire weight of your car. Not gonna not gonna end up very good. All right. Yeah, Untangle. We'll see what we can do about Untangle. But there are going to be cacti videos in the very near future. And you can all thank Dale for that. So everybody in the comments, please say thank you, Dale. Yeah, Tom says do bypass on the devices that don't need filtering. Exactly. I'm just trying to sort through the hey, Tony with Quick Tech is in the house. Good morning. Tony. Tony had his um, usual Saturday morning video release. Make sure you're going and you're checking out all the content creators that are featured in the chat. Bob Carpenter says 70 people watching, 21 likes. Smash that like button so we can get word out about Willie's new beverage. Now I feel like there's an inordinate amount of pressure to actually work with a coffee manufacturer and get the Willie Howe Technology bourbon coffee. Geez Louise. Thanks, Bob. I got to get through all that horsepower you sent me first. All right, so back to that. So yeah, so the way that we are doing our cacti, well, just to kind of end that cacti thing, I will tell you a large majority of the time when somebody says they need 10 gig, if they're not a medical office, if they're not a place dealing with huge GIS files, if they're, it's a want. It's not always a need. I'm telling you, the majority of times we find when we actually do a bandwidth study, 1 gig is usually sufficient for most businesses. But if they really want 10 gigs, so this is usually, the boss is like, well, we need to justify this, things like that. But what we're doing with Dale is he has a huge uh, uh, distributed architecture. And we were looking at a few different solutions, but I wanted something that was easy to maintain, didn't require a site-to-site VPN. And so what we came up with, and we're going to be testing it later this week, I think Thursday night, is I've got Cacti running here, and then you can actually set up remote pollers. And so what Dale has at his house is he's got 3 devices that we're going to use. We're going to monitor for SNMP. And what's going to happen is it's going to go to a local Cacti box there. And then that Cacti box has an open VPN client connection just directly back, going to have one directly back here to the main server. And then that box is going to offload the information here. It won't be real time because there is that lag time between the communication between the servers. But it should do exactly what we want. If anybody sees a hole in that and you want to comment on that, let me know. JH says, I need to make content like the day in the life of a consultant. Oh boy, brother. Wouldn't that be something? I have stayed away. I should do a weekend edition of that. Obviously with my day job, I can't, there's a lot of things I can't talk about with that. So I don't do those day, life in the day in the life, but I should do like a Saturday or Sunday edition of that. David Anderson says he's going to drive to Peoria when it's ready. Well, now I really feel like the pressure is on. JH says he's talking about the Untangle licenses there. Tom says, I would have so many videos of asking folks if they tried rebooting it first. Yes. And you know what's hilarious? End users tell you that they rebooted. You log in, you look at the uptime, it's like 41 days. Like, you did not reboot your computer. I was in a meeting, a point of sale meeting on Thursday. And the way that we have our group policy set up is we push the updates to the computers and then we prompt you 3 times to reboot. And if you don't reboot the 4th time, we don't give you a choice. And we're in the middle of this meeting, and this one person that is like a director, is like, "Oh, you guys are gonna force me to reboot the computer in like 13 minutes." And I'm like, "Yep." And he goes, "Well, can't you stop that?" I said, "Nope." I said, "That means you ignored it 3 other times when it prompted you for a reboot." So I get it. I am a huge laptop abuser. My MacBook Pro hasn't been powered off since I bought it in January. I close the lid, I charge it. The laptop that I'm live streaming from right now doesn't get shut off that often. It does go into hibernate mode, but our desktop computer, the only time that it ever gets shut off is it got shut off when we moved, and it gets shut off during power outages. Other than that, it just stays running all the time. Um, Hey Joe, I don't want to do any more network Chuck impressions, but how about some ASMR for you? All right. Uh, I wouldn't say that end users necessarily lie. Maybe they just feel that rebooting is a waste of time and they're trying to save the company money. Uh, yeah, no, they're pretty much lying. All right. JH says I use IoT. Oh yeah, so we have a couple places where Comcast. It took us 6 months to get a Comcast problem fixed for a connection that was going down multiple times a day. We've got another one that's starting it. So what we did is we went out to Amazon. We found I can't remember the manufacturer, but it's literally just looks like a little extension cord like this, but it's got a round circle in the middle. It's meant for one device. Um, and you program it with your phone, you join it to your Wi-Fi. When it can't get out to 1.1.1 or 8.8.8, it power cycles the cable modem or whatever is plugged into it. Right. So that's getting deployed on Monday. Bob Carpenter says, "What is something that you normally see lots of uptime and it's fine?" Well, it depends who you ask, right? So if you have firmware that doesn't have any bugs, if you're running a version of firmware that doesn't have any security holes, I mean, it could be from until the next release, right? It means you've not had any maintenance windows and things like that. Just depends. Um, I saw a switch stack that had like 5 years of uptime, and I literally said, "I'm not touching it because when it reboots, things are going to fail." Right. So sometimes you just got to know when you're beat. JH says, "I've had routers I put into service 18 years ago without a reboot." Yeah. Uh, what kind of routers are they? Are they Cisco? Maybe not. Let's see. Yeah, I think it's hilarious when end users think that they can just install software. Uh, they come from like a small company with like 5 users and they're like, "Well, I could install blah, blah, blah. I was an administrator." Well, welcome to an actual corporate environment where we are policy and procedurally driven and we have to pay, we're held to certain standards by state government. Like, yeah, you're not getting admin access. It's not happening. I don't even log in as an admin. I have 2 accounts, and this is what I suggest to any of you running Active Directory or running Linux or whatever. Like, you never like log in as root unless you are very specifically told to. You never log in as administrator unless you're very specifically told to. And we run 2 accounts: a standard normal user account where you do your day-to-day business like everybody else, and then you have an admin account that is not the administrator account that you log into. All right, back over to David Grishko. Says he's seen a Cisco switch with 6 years of uptime. Yeah, you don't want to be the dude that reboots that. Unky Joe says VoIP looks to be coming back up. Yeah, VoIP.ms. If you joined us, they're having a huge denial service attack. I think there'll be a lot of hard conversations being had after this. I saw in the Twitter comments that people, MSPs, are being fired from companies over this. So there's going to be a ton of fallout from this, and I'm sure the people are going to be switching. But we're not pulling the marketing lever on that. If companies want to switch, they'll call us. We'll help them out. But I'm not going to like get out in front of them and dangle the carrot and be like, "Well, if you'd have used Telnex, this would never happen." I'm just not. I'm just not going to do that. I'm not going to be. I'm not going to be that guy. So, but that's good that VoIP.ms is coming back up because one of my clients is a very, very well-respected person in the Texas area. I can't really get into it, but he uses his phone a lot. TVJ says, "Is there a firmware that doesn't have bugs?" No. No, there is not a firmware that doesn't have bugs. Well, possibly. Maybe I said that too quick, but let's just say that for the devices we're running, it's probably pretty rare. Tom says, "Here's another favorite," and I quote, "You should never reboot Linux." So there is actually, uh, with Ubuntu, there actually is a piece of software that can even update the kernel and do very important updates, and you never have to reboot the system. I just noticed it on the latest install that I did when I was building my Cacti machine. I can't remember the name of it, but several of the Linux providers now have that where you don't have to reboot. Brian says, Gibby, let me back up to Sean. Sean, no, that is not the digital loggers PDU. I can't remember. If you just go to Amazon and type in like auto reboot, there's a dozen devices that'll come up. And we went with the one that was a single plug and had the best ratings because it just needs to do one thing and do it really well. Gibby says, "Does Cactus have to be installed on a Windows machine?" It does not have to be installed on a Windows machine, but it can be installed on a Windows machine. We are running it on Ubuntu. Brian says, "Hey, Willie, any plans on showcasing some Cisco prosumer or Juniper equipment? You teased it on many moons ago." So I do have a Juniper switch. Did I rack mount it? No, it's still leaning against my shelf over there. Yes, at some point, excuse me, we are going to have Juniper, and Cisco did send me some of their new stuff. So yes, that is coming. Um, let's see. Sean says, "We've been investigating and talking to them about switching our unmanaged PDUs. We have used Wattbox and Triple Light units in some units, but it's hard to beat the price and features of digital loggers." Yeah, I like that digital loggers, that they've got their programming language and you can write scripts to do all kinds of stuff. Brian says, "Ha ha ha, I worked at a place that insisted everyone use admin on a Windows server environment. They didn't want to have to remember passwords," was their reasoning. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's not good. Yeah, if you're a consultant and you run into that, you should get it in writing that you recommended against that. Bob Carpenter says, "All these DDoSers have to do is point their fire hose at some other VoIP company." Um, yes and no. Yes and no. Maybe Joe from Cajoling can just give us a yes or no answer in the comments, but I would think that AWS has a way to stop DDoS if you're hosted on AWS. I would think. Now, you don't have to be hosted on AWS to stop DDoS attacks. There are plenty of WISPs and fiber companies that are not huge, gigantic Amazon-like companies that can mitigate DDoS attacks. Is your firmware 100% non-operational? Yeah. So yeah, I guess if your device is powered off, it's not going to have bugs. David says it's canonical live patch. I believe that is it. Thank you, David. Joe with cajoling says, "I have an idea for Protectly. It would be cool to turn it into one of those relaxing water fountains. Have the water come down from the fins and drip onto another Protectly directly into the ports." Oh, Joe, always thinking, always thinking. Ralph Anderson, yes, thank you. Ralph sent me a care package. We One of my favorite nut, Ralph, that you sent was the unsalted cashews, and we do use the coffee cups every day. So Ralph sent a care package that had several pounds of almonds and walnuts and cashews and a carrying bag, and then the coffee cups. The coffee cups are fantastic. Thank you, Ralph. David says every major enterprise Linux company is supporting live patching. There is also TuxCare out there. Very interesting. Very, very interesting. JH says for Linux, I really like Turnkey Linux. It's like the Docker. Yeah, but is Turnkey still supported? Like a lot of the stuff I was seeing on Turnkey, and now granted, it's probably been a year since I've looked at it. It was running on old distros. So David says VoIP MS should use Cloudflare. Well, the thing about Cloudflare is that it really only protects like web servers, right? So I've run into a couple of customers who thought that they could put their Exchange server or their email server completely behind Cloudflare. That is not the case. If you put your email server behind Cloudflare, you're going to have a bad day. Now, if you had a distributed architecture where you had an only a web interface for an email server and it wasn't your SMTP and your IMAP and your POP3, blah blah blah. Yes, you could put just the web interface behind it. Unky Joe says, "I vote. Let's wait and see exactly what happens before we condemn the company." Yeah, that's I'm waiting for more details. But Unky Joe, if you're following the Twitter feed, you know that there are people out there using this as a marketing lever. Like I said, I'm not going to do that. James is in the house. Everybody say hi, James. If you've worked with James, you know he is fantastic, fantastic at what he does. All right. So, Joe says AWS and DDoS. Yes, there are safeguards, but sure, it can happen. Use FQDN to front termination of calls. So that helps. Yeah. So AWS is also running some internal procedures to mitigate that. So, all right. Well, I got to get going again. 8:41 Central Time. I hope you all are having a great day. I hope you're going to have a great weekend. I hope you're being awesome at whatever it is that you do. And if you need IT consulting, reach out at williehow.com. All the affiliate links are below. I want to thank you all for being here. I do appreciate each and every one of you. And as always, I'll see you in the next live stream, if I can end this one.